Pyramid building in the Old Kingdom. In part one, we looked at the perspective of the archaeologists and what they say about the evolution of pyramids in ancient Egypt. I gave you a couple of ideas of my perspective, but today we're going to look at an alternative perspective to the history of the ancient Egyptian pyramids. Let's start with the concept that the pharaohs built the pyramids. So that's what the archaeologists say, and they believe that they were built as tombs, and yet no bodies have been found in any Egyptian pyramid that matches the period for which the archaeologists say the pyramid was built. There's plenty of evidence linking specific pharaohs to specific pyramids. But did they build them, or were they doing a restoration project? Prior to the Old Kingdom, the pyramid fields were terrifying. They scared the people. They were considered places of the gods and were even quite dangerous. There were many shafts a person could fall into. There was a lot of rubble, and they were dangerous items that could seriously damage a person who might find them. It was even taboo to speak of the pyramids, to even write about them, and that continued long after and into the Old Kingdom and onwards, because there was a magic associated with the pyramids that meant that you don't talk about them unless you want bad fortune to fall on you. Hence, even in the Old Kingdom, they didn't write about the pyramids. Even the records of the work on the Tura limestone casing stones, the transportation of those, etc., there is very little discussion of the actual pyramids. The name is given, but very little is said about them. If a pharaoh did restoration work on a pyramid, then that pharaoh gained favor with the gods, and it was considered acceptable for the pharaoh and the pharaoh's family to have tombs around such a structure, so that the people around the pharaoh could also benefit. Hence, necropolises were built up around a pyramid. Wherever there is an ancient Egyptian necropolis, there will either be a man-made pyramid or a natural pyramid formation. And that's my opinion, and I'd be very interested to know if anyone can show that I'm wrong on that particular front. Pyramids didn't replace mastabas as tombs. Mastabas just started to appear around pyramids. Mastabas were always the preferred tomb of the Old Kingdom. Even the oldest of the locations where there are mastabas, for example, the necropolis at Abydos, is located near to a natural formation which has a look of a pyramid. And later on in the history, the Valley of the Kings also is very close to a structure which remarkably looks very pyramid-shaped. Whether we're talking about a natural structure or whether we're talking about a man-made pyramid, the tombs are in abundance around these structures. So once a pharaoh had undertaken a restoration project, the pyramid would be referred to in some particular way, like the glory of a particular pharaoh or the light of a particular pharaoh, so that it's showing that favor will be given to that pharaoh. And of course, those who are fortunate enough to be permitted to be buried alongside, they also will receive the glory or the light or the whatever that pharaoh has attained. Just look at how many mastabas and little tiny baby pyramids and tombs are located around the massive pyramids at Giza. All we need now is for the tomb of Khufu to be found in the Western Cemetery, where one of the Egyptologists is currently looking, and it will be evidence towards what I'm saying. So your next question is probably, well, if they're not tombs of pharaohs, what are they and who built them? The structures are functional. They are for large-scale production of, whether it be energy or chemicals or whatever, they each serve a purpose. And as for who built them, well, that's a long story, which you're probably going to have to go and have a look at some of my other episodes to get the full picture. But here it is in a nutshell. Basically, there was an earlier civilization, and that civilization was more advanced in a very specific way, and the end result when that civilization collapsed was that there were a lot of ruins left behind. I won't use the term Atlantis in this context because that name is foreign to me. The name that I recognize is Tantal, and Egypt, or Kem, was just one of the places that formed part of this great civilization. Some of the structures, it looks quite obvious that there are, let's say, two builders, a more advanced, older part and a newer, less advanced part to the structure. That said, what the ancient Egyptians achieved in the restoration of these buildings and the creation of their necropolises, or is it necropoli, was nothing but astounding. They achieved an amazing level of skill, but as amazing as the ancient Egyptians were, the numbers just don't add up. An example of what I mean by it doesn't add up are the 3 pyramids attributed to Snefru, which in total the volume is exceedingly more than the Great Pyramid. So looking at the numbers, when you add together the volume of the 3 pyramids attributed to Snefru, it comes to just over 3.5 million cubic meters, whereas the Great Pyramid comes to just over 2.5 million cubic meters. So, yeah, all you have to do is look at the numbers. Before I retired, I was a chartered accountant, so numbers speak to me. And these numbers, they tell me a lot. And it reinforces that the things that I've been saying about the pyramids, based on my weird and seemingly crazy dreams, are not as crazy as they first seem. I will do a separate episode looking at the numbers when it comes to the 3 pyramids of Snefru, and you might find that interesting if you like to look at the numbers. So that's it for this episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.